I have every right to send the both of you to jail for a very long time.
Try not to be a groupie once again when I got you in the studio. But, dog, I just want to thank you for effing my entire life up. Go back all the way like 89, 90, America's Most Wanted, NWA. For a young suburbanite like myself, it had a long-lasting effect on me, the music and the imagery of what you painted.
Now, you saying you thanking me?
I'm thanking you.
Okay, all right, no problem.
No problem.
Because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be right here doing what you do. Right. You know what I mean? You're probably working at Walmart or something. You know what I mean?
I'll probably be not working at Walmart, dog. I'll probably be neck deep into something wrong right now. And I want to thank you for the inspiration, the music you made. And I want to take you back for a second. Like, let's go back to NWA. You about 19 years old, writing for these kids, writing for half the group. Making a lot of hit records, taking photo shoots with M16s and crazy imagery. Was it hot? Was a lot of tension on you guys? Like, no one had ever made music that violent before, that raw before.
I mean, just growing up in South Central LA in the 80s, man, you know, it was a lot of heat out there. It was a lot of fire. You know, we thought the whole world was living like this under these conditions, you know, so we just tried to come with the real as we saw it. Yeah. We knew that we felt that the music would be underground. You know, we never knew the music would go past the hood at all.
So you had no expectations of the success and the cultural impact that NWA made?
No, none whatsoever. We just did it how we felt it. And, you know, we knew, you know, people was representing their city in hip-hop on the East Coast. Right. And, you know, Easy was adamant about representing Compton. Yeah, and putting that on the map and letting people know what people going through in Compton all the time, you know. So, you know, it's just that attitude that we brought to the table, went in there and spit fire, and here we go.
Now, you look at the NWA days, it was very, very just the imagery, it was just so... It was so hard, and then you made a transition. You left. You said, you know what, this ain't working for me. I'm going to do a solo thing. America's Most Wanted was a drastic change from just gangster to be gangster. Now it's like rebel with the cause. You're talking about politics. Yeah. Did you feel the level of heat rise when you started going at the government, going at America?
Well, you know, I felt like, you know, being with Chuck D, and at the time Chuck D was going through the heat that they was going through with Public Enemy, with Griff and a lot of things that was going on around then. So, you know, it was very influential on me. Public Enemy is my favorite group of all times when it comes to hip-hop. Chuck D's my favorite rapper of all time. So, you know, being around them and getting some of the game they got on things other than what we learned in school, you know, about our plight here in America, you know, it definitely turned me on to look at things, you know, differently than what I was taught and to try to seek deeper knowledge, you know, and spit it. When I find it, spit it on the records for my fans to get it too, you know.
We were talking about America's Most Wanted earlier. You were saying there's a back against the wall feeling that you had, like you had to win, you had to prove a lot of people wrong. You can hear that in those albums. Then from there, you got Death Certificate, Bird in the Hand, these stories, it's like so painting these crazy images of these neighborhoods. Then you go from that, and then there's Predator, which was like taking it to a whole nother level. And then it's like, okay, after those, then it went Lethal Injection, and you started to smooth things out a little bit. It was, you had gone all that off your chest. Talk to me about that time, that Lethal Injection era. Like, how did that feel
you know,
for you?
I think music was changing around Lethal Injection. It wasn't so much emphasis on street knowledge, so to speak. It was kind of, you know, we was getting into what I call the escapism age of hip-hop, where we're going from, you know, groups like KRS-One and Public Enemy being on top, to now we getting into an area where, you know, once the Chronic hit, you know, people kind of went in another direction. You know, people start saying, yo, let's stop talking about our problems so much. Let's just have fun. Let's drink, let's smoke, let's go to the club, let's hang out, let's buy jewelry, let's get women, you know, and that's the era we've been in for about, I think, 10, 12 years, maybe more.
Now, looking at this recession and the way things are coming back around right now, it's starting to look like '92 again. Like,
I mean,
it's looking real scary right now.
Exactly. You know, now people the escapism rap is playing out. People don't care about how much money you got. People don't care how many bottles of Cristal you got. It's just boring.
Right.
So people want the poetry. People want the street knowledge back in the music.
Definitely.
That's why, you know, that's what really happened around then. It was a transition period for hip-hop.
No, now look at Raw Footage. Completely independent now.
Yeah,
no
totally.
label telling you what to do. No politics. Because if you look back on those other days, the America's Most Wanted, the death certificates, you were doing stuff that these days kids couldn't do on a major label.
Not at all. You know, back then it was a little new to it. I was still on Priority, which is semi-major.
Yeah.
But, you know, they had 1 foot in the independent game, 1 foot in the major game. So, you know, I still had a lot of leeway. But since 06, Laugh Now, Cry Later, and Raw Footage, I've been totally independent.
It's great.
With and you can hear it in the music. You know what I mean? You could tell that it's no A&R, no radio promotion people telling me you should do a record with T-Pain, or you need to go do a record with this one and that one and the other one, and not respecting the records that I do as an artist myself.
Yeah, all those kids are doing their thing in their own lane, but Cube got to be Cube. And you can't go and start doing these records. It looks crazy.
Exactly. You know, people just flip out if they, you know, like I said, nothing against T-Pain. You know, I like his music. It bump. But for me to try to jump on that bandwagon would just look silly.
It don't look right.
No, it don't look right.
Looking back to like 89, Burn Hollywood Burn, obviously typecasted in Boys in the Hood. Yeah. When did the decision come to you say, I'm taking over Hollywood? We're going to do this. I'm going to produce movies. I'm going to direct movies. Like, what was your thought? Like, you trying to get the movie money, or was it?
No, well, you know, once I realized every movie wasn't going to be as good as Boys in the Hood, you know, every movie I read wasn't going to be that good, I realized the only way for me to do the kind of movies I wanted to do was to write them and produce them myself. You know, other than that, I'm sitting there waiting for good scripts to come along. And you know, that to me is no way to live, just be sitting there waiting for somebody to put you in a movie.
So you're doing your own thing. So basically, I'm gonna make, yeah, definitely. And birthed in kids' careers like Chris Tucker and the kid Mike Epps. Yeah. They have wonderful careers now because of your endorsement. Do you look for stand-up comics to be in the movies with you?
Only if I'm doing a comedy. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm always looking for new talent that's fresh, that you know, maybe the world hasn't seen or looked over, or you know, I see stuff in comedians that, you know, if I see them do stand-up, just give me a few minutes and then I can figure out if they can act or not. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just something that they bring to the table. And I like working with them because, you know, it's never a dull moment, and, you know, they make the movies funny.
Always being a dude that never held back in your life, always said what you meant, said what you feel. How do you feel about the current state of hip-hop? We talk about it like it's this giant living in the hills. Like, how do you feel about hip-hop? But, like, how do you feel about the current climate of the hip-hop industry? People say hip-hop is dead. It's feeling crazy these days. Like, how does Ice Cube see it? Like,
well, you know, hip-hop, the biggest problem is that it's going way too corporate right now. You know, it's a lot of major corporations kind of dictating, you know, what's hot. And what's gonna be you know, experienced by the fans, who gonna see what, and you know, it's not coming from the streets no more. And so, you know, that's why people feel hip hop is dead, because it's lost its real link directly to the streets, from the streets basically to your living room. Now it's from the streets through a corporate meat grinder, and then you might get some okay hip hop at the other end. So, you know, thank God for the internet, who you know, is kind of a double-edged sword for hip hop. You know, on one end, it's definitely a way for people to take music and put their favorite artists out of business. But on the other hand, it's a way for underground hardcore hip hop fans to communicate and make sure the real hip hop is being distributed amongst the fans. Blame me, blame me, blame me, blame me. You niggas know my pyroclastic flow.